Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast, the Friday edition here as we are wrapping up for the week, the first week back in the new year. How's it going? Everybody's new year working out pretty good for you? Feeling pretty good?
Oh,
no.
No, it's
what
fine.
happened?
Everybody's just getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, and you've been still fighting off the last vestiges of your sickness.
Yeah, so
Right.
I was,
Well, we had a great series of shows. If you listen to the regular podcast, we had a really good week on shows. The Aftercast been mundane, boring, whatever. No, just kidding. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. You still hopeful for the new year, Rock?
Yeah, of course. I always
Good.
am. And I don't think it's going down. It's not like it's terrible. It's just that I want to feel 100% physically.
Like this year theoretically doesn't start until you are
Feel
back
better. Yeah.
to feeling
Yeah.
like 100%. You're like, and now we start.
Yeah, because right now I'm on an antibiotic that makes me feel queasy and
That's fun.
Not good.
my ear still bothers me.
We just had a friend of ours that was talking about another friend that has vertigo, and I've run into more people in my life that are suffering from vertigo now.
Have you ever experienced it?
I've gotten dizzy before, but I think it was more like hydration or overexertion, and I've never experienced. Have you?
I don't know. Isn't
does it
vertigo like
feel
where
like?
you're
Yeah.
standing still, but everything
It's
around you feels like it's spinning?
Yeah, like I don't know. Yeah,
I
it's
think
kind
I
of
have
dizzy.
felt that way
you?
before, like
Yeah.
a handful of times.
Yeah, but I'm more and more people I'm finding have this, and then you're like wondering, okay, is this something to do like environmental? Like what's changed, or COVID
shots?
Yeah, like I don't know. Yeah,
The
like
vaccine.
I know. Speaking of that, like Damar Hamlin, Betty rocked it in the regular show. If you listen to that, he is coming out of his coma, and he can write. He's on a ventilator, so he can't speak.
That was an update that I saw just about
what is
like
it?
20 or so minutes ago, is that they took the tube out.
Nice.
He addressed his team over FaceTime, so he's obviously not back to normal, but he's back to, I think, being able to communicate and be there and present completely.
He's been more communicative than Jeremy Renner, so that's good.
And
the
Jeremy
guy
Renner
that
only
ran
hurt his
over himself
leg.
with a snowplow.
Oh, that guy.
So yeah, but I loved what he had said. Like his first thing, he wrote a note. Did we win the game? Like that's awesome. But I had gotten an email the other day from somebody saying, "Hey, I appreciate all your emphasis on the players praying for Damar on the field, and it's really great. But I have to ask, and no one's talking about this, is this possibly directly related to COVID and COVID shots? Because if you remember back at the beginning of COVID, it's so funny to say. Remember back when COVID was a thing?
Back in 2020?
For us, it's not like a big deal anymore. China is still dealing with it.
That's terrible.
And they just started to lock down again. I have a friend that lives there, and she's trying to get out and come home right
She needs
before.
to just stay out.
I know and she wants to, but her husband's job, and so they're having to stay. But there are some people that are saying back then they would post things about how healthy young people, all of a sudden had heart issues after they'd gotten the COVID shot. And because of the legacy media and because of and I'm going to say conspiracy, to stop what they felt was misinformation, people that would post things, it would get instantly taken down. And Facebook was a gatekeeper of this stuff, and other social media sites were gatekeepers. And I feel that they felt they were doing the right thing. I don't know that it was nefarious per se. I feel that they thought there was information that was being reported incorrectly, and they were trying to keep that because it was new territory for all of us. None of us had ever been in that place before. But then it just showed the power of the media and the White House lockstepping together, how they can control an entire narrative. And so there are people that are putting up now, this guy out of nowhere doesn't take a huge hard hit to the chest, and every NFL player, if you wanted to play, had to be vaccinated, had to be tested, had to go through all the steps. And they're saying a young 24-year-old guy like this, is it possible that he had effects from the COVID shot? And I'm saying if there is a correlation, 100% it could be possible. Now, again, the number of people that had that adverse effect was relatively small. If it was connected to COVID, it was still statistically small. But if you are the one that has it, it's a pretty big deal.
You probably regret the choice that you had or were forced to make to continue playing the game you love.
Because will they ever admit to this? And in my book, we won't find out for 50 years, like the JFK assassination. This is the coronavirus. Mark my words now, because I'm going to be dead when this comes out. But mark my words now, if you're young and you're listening to this, you're like, Wally was a prognosticator. In like 50 years, it's going to come out all the messed up things and the lies and the conspiracies that surrounded COVID, and that COVID will be our generation or this generation's JFK assassination. Like, I think they're going to hold it so tight, and eventually someone will do something and break the silence
to a point where it won't matter for
that's
all
the
of
thing.
us.
Time. But see, that's the thing. Time, there's a formula for comedy. They say tragedy plus time equals comedy. You have to wait so long to make fun of something. And there's the same thing about like conspiracies. Once you get past something so long, kind of like we all make that joke too soon to make a joke. Once you get past a certain point, there's like almost like an automatic forgiveness. It's not real. You're like, oh, okay, the government did that, but that was 50 years ago. We're different now. When it comes out 3 years, then you're like, wait, these people are hosing me. And like, this is a horrible place and a horrible thing to do. So mark my words.
Well, I was going to ask this though, because all of us in this room did get the vaccine, and we got our, no one got the booster?
I did.
You did get the booster?
Yeah, I was boosted.
Did you guys like tell yourself, because I didn't either, did any of you guys tell yourself that any weird feelings, like physical feelings you were having, like down the line, did you ever think, man, did I ever experience this before I got the COVID shot? Because I remember like getting my COVID shot, and then like for like the year afterwards, every time I'd feel like a chest pain or something, I'd be like, oh man, is that the COVID? Is that the vaccine doing something to my body? And then it would go away. I'm like, oh, I probably just like tooted or something.
I get something that I had never had before, and it's not life altering. So so Facebook, don't take everything down. Mark, whatever your name is, it's killing your stock because of your whole meta nonsense. Zuckerberg. I get this thing where I feel like I'm almost on fire inside. Like I will feel really hot internally. And like I've never had that before. I guess women like could liken it to menopause or something. And I got really hot internally. And it's that thing where you think, oh, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to get sick now. This is the start of an illness. And everybody knows that feeling. But this is different than like the other stuff. And so I get that, and I get it more commonly, but then I never get sick. Like I get it. It lasts for like a day, and then it goes away, and then it'll go another month, and then I'll get it again, and stuff like that. And it's usually like a day that it lasts, and then it goes away. And so I've never had that before. And so is there a correlation between the two? I don't know. Are you Googling to find out what if I have this, or if anyone else's experiences? Yeah, it's weird. It's totally weird.
Yeah, and it's like tough because, you know, there was like one variable in like everyone's life that was introduced like 2 years ago now. Like there's not this like there is that commonality,
right?
But there has to be, it seems like, enough of that commonality. Like for example, Damar Hamlin having this like chest and heart attack issue at 24 years old. It feels like there needs to be a larger number of 20-year-old people experiencing like heart related issues.
Right.
Please don't be me. And like for that to happen, for them to start to like, for at least for the world to start saying, okay, we like this isn't something simple. It could come out that Damar just has health related issues.
He could
that
have a
his whole
congenital
life.
heart thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sports brings out your weakness a lot of times for people, and so it is entirely possible they're going to find out, oh, you had an aorta thing that has been there since birth. You're lucky to be alive.
They push their bodies to the outstanding limits that they probably don't necessarily want to reach, and that might have just been the one.
Absolutely within the realm of possibility. So it'd be interesting. Did you find anything, Betty?
All I'm finding right now, which given who knows what they're putting on the internet.
I know,
100% true, 100%.
But there are just them saying like afterwards, after you get the shot, you'll feel like flu-like symptoms. Like, but I'm not finding anything that says.
Yeah. See, I never had the flu symptoms like that. Marty, my wife, got it really bad. Every time she got the shot or the booster, she finally determined, she's like, I'm not doing this again. Like if they were like, you have to have a third booster, she's like, I'm not doing it.
If it's like a yearly thing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, at this point, it kind of has.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're going to see the COVID shot become the new flu shot, too.
But I think, too, that, you know, so many people, there was so many rumors about the COVID vaccine that now anything that goes wrong in our bodies, we could easily say, Was that the shot?
Absolutely.
We don't know.
So instead
Could
of
it
just
be?
blaming like terrible like habits in your life or
like
anything.
The fact that you drink bunches of sodas and you don't eat a vegetable.
I got dad bod. Was that the COVID shot? I don't know. It could have been.
I could have been so fit by now, but you know what?
COVID's keeping me from packing on muscle. That and those Cheetos I just ate. This was a weird story. Jarius, someone that listens to the show, sent me this, and the subject was rant worthy, and I'm like, oh, delightful.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Have we done that this year?
Not really. It was a fascinating article on Kirk Cameron, who apparently had tried to. He's written a new book, like a kid's book, and he wanted to do a story hour. Go and read the book to kids, and was denied it to public libraries because it was deemed like hate speech kind of thing, and that him being, just by the nature of him being a Christian, he is automatically instantly against LGBTQ, and he's and everything that comes out of him is going to be hateful. And you're like, wait, that's making a huge leap, and you're assigning things that aren't there. So he fought back. He petitioned and fought back to do it. And the whole reason this started was, are you guys familiar with Drag Queen Story Hour?
No.
I mean,
yes.
not like I feel like, is that like is that a show or
no?
like came out of like RuPaul?
It is a program that certain libraries across the country are doing, where they have drag queens come in and read stories to kids, and the whole idea is to destigmatize the drag queen lifestyle and make children more accepting of it. So because if we do this at the children age, then they're going to be more accepting. We're going to have less hate. Yeah, that sounds great, but what you're doing is you're taking an alternate lifestyle that has problems and it's broken adults, and you're saying, hey kids, it's okay, this is natural, this is normal. And it's not. I mean, you can talk about this all day long and you can tell me it's normal. It's not normal. And so then you're making kids like say that this is normal. At some point in time, we do have to say, hey, there are broken things in our world, and we can still love and feel for people, but we don't have to accept everything as normal and acceptable. The Bible talks about this, like, you got to speak truth, but you got to speak it in love, and you can't be a hate-filled person and go after people like that. I feel for people that struggle with this, but I also don't think you have to, again, I've said this a million times, don't make your sexuality my business, because it's not my business. I don't care what you do. But when you continue to put it in front of me, continue to put it in front of kids, you have made it my business then, because I have the right to say, no, this is not right. This is not what I want children exposed to. So, and when you juxtapose it with the Kirk Cameron thing, wants to talk about how you're fearfully and wonderfully made and you have a purpose. That's all healthy for kids, but that's seen as hate speech, whereas, drag queens reading kids' stories is seen as normal
and inclusive. Yeah,
it's we live in this totally backwards, upside down, bizarro world where we've let a really small group, a tiny, almost unstatistical group of people command what the majority does, and again, we've talked about this before. It went from not just acceptance to you have to accept it, you have to celebrate it, and now you have to, support it. And if you don't, then you're hate-filled. And that is a really, really messed up place to be in our society.
I do think that you're probably going to see a lot of movement towards like kids with families that are like where faith is very important. You're going to see a lot of movement towards like homeschooling probably. Yeah. I hear a lot of like my friends explaining about like, oh, when we're parents someday, we're probably going to homeschool. Yeah. Or you're going to see people like edging towards like these private Christian schools, which isn't necessarily always easy for a lot of people because those private schools never cost $0.
No, they're expensive
for kids to go to, even though if you want them to get this like higher end education before they go off into the real world, it's like not every parent is vetted to do that at their own home. But then the private school stuff, but then you have the public school doing things like this where you're worried that you're worried about the influence that's going to have on your kid.
This is really one of the trickiest issues I do believe we have. And maybe that's why it becomes such a forefront issue, because of what it does to other kids and what it says for them. And maybe because kids, man, they're trying to figure stuff out when they're little and they don't know. And they're trying to make grown-up decisions, and the fact that, gender reassignment can be done on children is crazy to me, and minors, is crazy to me. And so like I think it's this dangerous game we play where broken adults then are affecting children. But the other part of this that's really difficult is how do you navigate this with love as a believer and compassion, you know, because it's really hard. Like my daughter, she's different from me, not because of how I raised her. I raised her a specific way. And you know me, I'm a strong personality. But she got into her sphere of influence and got into college and was surrounded by her group of friends where she was in theater, and pretty much everybody, like so many of her friends are all gender fluid and, you know, bisexual and blah, 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 blah. And it became something that is super normal for her. And like I was talking with her boyfriend and having a conversation with him, and he was like talking about how on the ticket for the airlines, he had to put Mr. or Ms. and he was trying to book Haley's flight for her, and he accidentally put Mr. instead of Ms.
Which, I mean, what are they going to?
I know, but he's like, he goes, it's so weird that you have to pick man or woman on a thing now when gender doesn't really matter. And I said, wait a minute, what do you mean gender doesn't really matter? He goes, and then he clarified, he goes, to people, they don't think it matters, you know, and they see it that way. And so many people,
skeptical for a second,
are so sensitive about it. I'm saying, and I said, do you believe that? He goes, oh no. But people, they're so sensitive to it. And he was shocked that they still ask that in this day and age. But the reality is, gender is a defining characteristic inside of us, and so it's still like when there is a robbery, a burglary, what do? It's an unidentified man. It's an unidentified woman. You know, there's not like it's a non-binary individual because we made that garbage up. Like we made up a bunch of stuff that we're supposed to think is science.
Well, and also I was listening to a podcast or read something, don't remember, but they said that, because I watch a lot of crime, listen to a lot of crime, but they said, you know, when it comes to identifying a body,
yes,
that bones actually, they grow different in men and women.
Right.
And even in skulls, you know, like the skulls of men and women are different. And so
our DNA is different at our core.
But if you let's say that someone lived their life as non-binary, or let's say they got a surgery done to where they can be the opposite sex.
Right.
They lived their life that way, yet something happened to them, tragic, and they passed. And you needed to identify their body, but they had been really
decomposed.
But does the police or the FBI, do they put out there, we have a Jane Doe? Well,
no, can't say Jane Doe.
Yeah, because
Jane/Dawn.
They would be like, well, no, because this person identified as a woman.
Right, but that doesn't matter.
We don't have.
Right.
Do you know how that gets really confusing? And two, I think that we are given the responsibility to raise children. Children don't know up from down. That's what we're there to teach them. And so with these, what do you call them? The
drag queen story
drag
hour?
queens, like them coming in and making it where it's more commonplace for these kids to not be freaked out by it. Shouldn't that say something? You know, shouldn't that say something about it in general?
Yeah, if you have to do something to make it normal.
Destigmatize it so that they won't be destigmatized, stigmatized by it. Also, too, I heard someone say, they were like, the law says that you cannot drink until you're 21.
Right.
Why is that? You can't drive until you're 16.
Can't make decisions.
Why is that?
Hurt yourself.
Because you're not responsible enough to make good decisions.
Right.
Why is that different from some child saying, I feel like I am an opposite sex?
Because
so much more life defining.
Well, yes, and life altering forever, you know. And so it's because other people who are in government and who are in social work situations are themselves broken in that way, and they're like, no, we want to make sure that everybody can be them and just do whatever they want to do. And that's the problem. You can't just do whatever you want to do. God designed things for a reason, you know.
Well, and another thing I will say is, like, I think your daughter, Haley, she's got such a good, sweet heart. Like, she's got a big heart for people. And so I get where she's coming from when she has those friends that are
absolutely
questioning things. I think that just comes from her wanting to love on people.
One of her best friends is super gay, you know, and he is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. I love this kid.
Yeah, and
he's a good guy, but it doesn't mean I have to accept what he does, but I can still love him.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's hard is that it's hard to separate what someone, because they say, this is my identity.
Right, exactly.
I am, like if they say I am bisexual or I am gay, whatever.
Why did God make me this way?
If you don't accept that, then you don't accept me, because that is me as a person. And so it is hard to separate the two. And like Haley, because I'm sure she's thought of this too, because I've thought of it, my heart goes out to people who battle that, because that in essence is me saying, well, if you can't change your ways, then by my faith, you have to live the rest of your life alone.
Right.
Like, you can have friendships, but you will never know what it's like to be in a relationship with someone who loves you. You will never know what it's like to be married. And it's
hard.
That's hard. And who am I to say that to someone? Like, it's that we live in a broken world and we're broken people, and it's just difficult.
Well, it's tough because, like, you know, for me to say that I don't want to feel like the person who looks at somebody and says, no, you are not a woman because you're a man. But I think the background to why we say that per se is that it's because we're not the ones saying it. It's because we believe that God said it in a certain way, and therefore we're just translating to them, hey, this is what I believe, and it comes from this source, and I believe it wholeheartedly.
People don't believe in that God.
Right, then it doesn't matter.
You can't connect.
Then you're judgmental.
Yeah, and then it goes back to what you were saying, Wally. I've heard you say before, that's like, we can't expect people who don't believe the same faith as we do to act the same way that we do. So we can't expect people who aren't Christians to act like Christians. So if they believe that there is no life after death, then they're going to do exactly what makes them feel good. Maybe that's being a drag queen.
Sure.
Well, then we can't be mad at that, because
exactly. And this is exactly what my point is. You have every right to do all of that stuff, because if you don't believe like I do, that's fine. That's what we live in this country. But it stops where you start to put your stuff on other people and your hang-ups or your issues or your whatever on to kids, and you force me to say, I love everything you are doing, and if I don't say that, then I'm a hate person. You know, that's the problem. We've labeled so many things as hate speech that are not hate speech, you know, and that's a big issue.
It's become, if you disagree with me, then
it's hate speech.
Then you don't like me.
Disagreement is not hate speech, but that's what we've made it, because again, it's a small vocal minority that is controlling the narrative of the majority, and it's crazy. But again, we have to learn how to navigate this stuff kindly and with love, and I do think that is possible, especially on a one-to-one issue. It's real easy to deal with somebody one-to-one and have compassion for them. It's much more difficult when you're talking about holistic agendas and groups of people and laws to affect everybody. Like, I understand it's messy, and
where a lot of that exists on, like, the internet too. It's not like it's something that we're seeing on our day-to-day lives. My question is that if we as Christians want, like, you know, Cameron to have the ability to go into schools and do these, like, Bible hours, then
do you have to let the other
accept and be comfortable with the fact that everyone else is allowed to have whatever other program? Because my answer to that would be like, no, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. But do I just say I trust this, like, system and trusting that what I'm teaching my kids to believe, that they'll be able to withstand the onslaught of a bunch of things thrown at them.
It's tough as a parent, because, like, my daughter, I mean, I raised her a certain way, but she and I are very similar in some things still, but they're definitely, politically, we are vastly far apart. And LGBTQ stuff, we are definitely on opposite ends of the spectrum, because she lives more in that with people that she's really close to. And so she sees the person, not the issue. And like this one friend of hers that we were talking about, like, I think you were talking about how she has a big heart. Her heart broke for this kid, because for a while his family like just rejected him, and I understand why families do that. Like, I get both sides of it, and so like I love that she had a heart for him because she felt that, like he was being shut off from what people that should love him, and it's hard for parents when they get this dropped on them, and it's like a lot of the dreams for their kid die, and they have to process it. They have to be allowed to grieve that loss. And and a lot of times people are like, well, you don't accept me, so you I don't want anything to do with you. And it's like, no, let them grieve that loss because it's different for their family. There's things my daughter is done and choices she's making that aren't choices I would make for her. And I have to go, okay, you're an adult. I hope you come, and see my side of it eventually one day. Because I think, but maybe she won't, and it's hard to let that go, as a parent. So, what do you got, Rock? We'll do something real quick and then we'll get out.
Well, mine is not quick. This was going to lead to a conversation that I really want to have.
Okay, well then, do you want to save it for when you're back on Tuesday, or
yeah,
you want to save it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's save it. Let's hold it. All right, let's do some birthdays. Cool. Oh, and because we still got weekend plans. Yeah. Oh, delightful.
We don't have any birthdays. Oh. But we can do a question if you like. Or
I forgot it's Friday, man. Why did we go so long?
Or we can skip straight to weekend plans.
And weekend plans. Everyone's got weekend plans. All right, weekend plans it is.
Go.
Me? Oh, delightful. I'm the most boring one this weekend. I'm going to go mountain bike riding today with Greg.
Oh, Greg.
And yeah, he was like, because he's leaving, they're moving to Utah. So this is going to be like probably maybe one of the last chances we go and ride. I know. Trail of Tears. I might cry.
Oh, that's your last ride.
Have to get pictures together before I sell all my mountain bike stuff.
So sad.
Put your arm around him and just...
I might.
Oh my God.
I'm serious. I talked about that.
Because you're injuring yourself all the time.
Well, no, I like doing it, but I don't want to go by myself, and so I might sell everything and just get a new hobby. Oh. So I know.
What about the stickers on your truck and all that?
Scrape them off. Oh. That's why they make razor blades.
It's so sad. It's like you're scraping Gregor Bear out
I know.
of your life.
I'm scraping it out of my life. I told him the other day, I said I have a new phrase. When somebody's dead to me, I just say they're Greg to me.
Oh. Take that for moving away from me.
I know. Now I'm like the needy one in the relationship. Don't leave. It's me. It's not.
I'll come visit
Did I
you.
make you leave? And then I think Saturday we are like, I'm on this declutter thing in our house. I just want to get rid of all of the excess stuff. And I know like people talk about spring cleaning and we're getting closer to that, but I just so much stuff we have, and I'd rather clean things up and just be done with a lot of it. I want to live a little bit more simply in the next year or coming years, because there's just too much stuff. We have a whole room of like stuff we've held on to, like, oh, we're going to use this someday. And I'm like, nope. I need to clean out my closet and stuff. And I'll probably give away that shirt you hate, Rock, to Goodwill.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, I'll keep it. No, I'll keep that one.
I didn't know you hated a shirt of his.
She hates this one shirt of mine. It looks like a rug. And I thought Jordan Feliz, we did a picture. We talked to Jordan Feliz. I thought he was going to like it. I thought, because it looks like him. I'm like, oh, he'll love this. And he's like, eh. I'm like, what? Come on,
you
dude.
were my vestige, my hope.
Bro code. Gavin.
We originally were going to have some people over for a game night tonight, but Haley's been sick all week, and we were going to make this judgment call today. And so she sent me a Marco Polo that I watched a little while ago. Her voice is gone. She's still kind of sniffy. And so we were like, well, we're going to tell them that we're going to cancel, because it's like in heydays past, like we probably still may have had people
would have
over.
done it, yeah.
But like she also just doesn't want someone to say next week, oh, I got sick. And it's like, then we know probably why you got sick.
We're so much more cognizant of it because of COVID. Like we used to do so many things sick, or you'd send your kids to school kind of sick, you know, and now I think we've gotten way more aware of it, and people don't do that anymore.
But given too, this is a time where there is so much going around too.
There's a couple of nasty signs.
Like
a lot of people are sick right now.
COVID, and that's it. It's a lot of stuff.
I had a friend of mine was telling me that his wife had the sinus thing like you had, and her eye almost swole shut.
Ew.
And he goes, yeah, we quarantined. Like she kind of stayed on her end of the house, and I stayed on mine. Like that's probably smart.
Yeah, because you don't want it. I mean, it was like you're on death's door.
Yeah, Lady Rock.
I'm trying to. I haven't heard back yet, but hopefully, I'm going to get to see Joy soon. I haven't met her new baby yet, so I'm going to go and hopefully see her soon. I talked with a couple of friends, and I think we're going to go grab Mexican food tomorrow night.
Yum.
Nice.
I got to do nursery on Sunday.
What's your go-to Mexican place?
There's a place called Pueblo Real.
Oh, that sounds
delicious.
very Mexican.
It is fan-stinking-tastic. If I collapsed and died there, I wouldn't be ashamed.
You wouldn't be, we wouldn't be sad at all. Like, this is how it's supposed to be.
Final resting place.
And we may see about Monday. Monday is still up in the air.
Oh, you might be here?
Yeah.
Oh, when are you going to let me know?
I know.
Because I need to
Monday
plan a
morning?
show.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you know ASAP.
Okay, because I need to know if I need to plan things that you're in or you're
Totes.
out. Okay.
I totally get that.
Up to you. I will miss you, obviously. But I just need to know.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just plan it as generic as I can, like nothing that's you-centric. And that way you have options either way.
That's very kind of you and above and beyond.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's what I do. All right. Well, that's going to do it for you.
Oh, wait.
Gavin. Wow, you
I'm
don't
sorry.
even listen to him.
Wow.
I thought you'd skipped him.
It's like he's not even here.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
tough.
It's like you wanted to
As
be
always,
kind.
thanks for being
it's
a
funny.
hottie.
She's like, she wanted to be kind. You forgot Gavin, idiot. And then you're like, he told a whole story.
I heard it in your tone.
I know. All right, that's going to do it for your Aftercast. Thanks for being a potty. Have a good weekend.